Okay, welcome everyone. We are February 1, and this is the K8s Infra meeting happening bi-weekly. Quick reminder that this meeting is under the code of conduct, so I invite everyone to be kind to each other. So I think anyone can be. I need a volunteer for note taking first. Who's gonna do that?
I will do what I can, but I have a few agenda items as well, so I won't be able to talk about it.
I can
do
note taking.
I put the link of the docs in the calendar. Let me share my screen. Before we start, do we have new people in this call interest to introduce themselves?
Hi, this is Federico Bongiovanni. I work at Google. I'm co-chair of SIG API Machinery, and I'm working closely with Ben. So I was looking forward to get more involved here and help.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And hi, this is Jago McLeod. I'm an Eng director at Google. Betty and Ben are in my team, and I'm here to support as well. Thanks.
Welcome.
I'm sorry you have to deal with Ben.
Okay. Anyone else? Because I think the rest are basically the user suspect of this group. Okay, no one. So I think next item is billing report, and we can, since we have the first day of February, I think we can basically directly check spend for last month, unless something in the daily spend. Okay, let's go for the spend. One update about the billing report. I'm not sure I can find the issue here. But so there is an issue about the billing report happening right now. So on December 2, there's a new SKU introduced in GCP billing, but it's not really impacting us. It's more like there's a new service per se, and we get billed for that, but we also get a discount, and that discount don't show up in the billing report since December. So I think it's like $2K a month. I opened a brief about this, and I asked Jim Angel from Google to investigate this. We had a conversation about this yesterday. You should basically check the link in the issue explaining the situation. So there's like a new service in GCP. We got bill, and we also get a discount, but that discount is not reflected in the billing dashboard. So there's going to be some kind of a discrepancy between now and September until it's fixed, or we update the dashboard to take off that discount.
Can you go back to the GitHub issue quick?
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, scroll up. I just want the number.
I put in the notes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, this is a dynamic number. It's basically
No. I was looking for the GitHub issue number, but Hippie got it for the URL for the link.
Yeah. Okay. So if anyone is interested to look into this and try to dig into more, feel free to look at the issue. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I'm like, as you know, I did the original report and the original like BigQuery analysis.
Yeah.
Do the right people have access to that now, or is there something like, are you asking for access or me to fix it, or like what's the right way to do this?
Well, if you can take a look and try to fix, because the issue is not on BigQuery itself, it's more of on local studio.
Okay.
So
cool. And
I think the issue is not that related to BigQuery storing information. It's more like basically the information we extract for BigQuery is now misaligned because there's a new spend, there's a new line of budget in BigQuery. So we need to basically update the query in Data Studio. So if you can basically give access to anyone interested to modify the dashboard so we can have something reflecting, that's going to be fun. That's going to be awesome. Or if you want to take a look at the query we use currently.
I'll take a quick look. I think I added you, I think, to the report, and I can add more people if need be. And one thing we do want to be careful of is just because it's discounted doesn't mean it isn't coming from our, like all of our spend is discounted, right? So we want to make sure that the discount isn't coming out of the big bucket. Yeah.
We talked to Jim and Joel. We took a look yesterday about this. There's now a specific discount related to that service. And that's completely separate from the credit we receive each year.
Cool, thank you.
I want to add one more thing to that, right? So
yeah,
you look at the pricing page for that product, it's free till September, right? But what Google does is they'll charge you for it and then they slap 100% discount on top of it. So what it appears on that list.
So the problem is like
usual behavior for all their new products. It's not helpful for us, but it's a free item, so I wouldn't worry too much about it.
No, it's not an issue. Okay, let me be clear. It's not. We are not built for that. That's what I'm saying. We are not built for that. We basically get. So what's happening is basically we get it. We are built for those services, but at the same time, we get a discount that nullify them. And that's reflect directly in the billing report, in basically the GCP billing report. So we charge 1K and we get a discount for 1K. That's what's happening. The problem is in this billing report I'm showing right now is not reflect.
So is this showing an extra 1K?
Yeah, we're showing an extra 1K in that billing report.
What time period is that?
Look at December to now.
Or sorry, is 1K like monthly, daily?
Depending on which project is impact. It could be 5K. Something I think December it was 2K, January was 4K. And this is why it's now confusing because it's not showing up. When I check internally in the GCP console, what's happening? I say billing for December, but it's not impacting the overall bill. But when I check in that bill, in this billing report, there's a different. Basically, there's a delta happening. I can even let me.
One suggestion, aside from using this chart to try to understand where the money is going, we can pull up the actual like billing page in GCP just to see where we're at with the credits.
Yeah, I did that. There's no direct.
I mean, I think maybe we should make that part of the meeting, sort of a like double check, you know, because it's also then people don't have to do mental math on like how much is left. We can just see the number.
We used to do that when Tim Hawking was around, but science is now busy with other things. We decided to not do that anymore.
Okay, well, I would suggest it might be worth a brief moment in the meeting when we're going over this report to pull up the actual like account page that shows the like burn rate and how much is left, because that should be that should be accurate and should show us how much is left.
Might be accurate. That's the problem. Might be accurate because we are not really billed for anything. Ultimately, the bill basically we receive have like zero.
But we can see we can at the very least see how many credits are left on the account. Like there's a page for that.
Right? Oh, okay.
But that should be accurate. So we can check against that and we can remind people where we're at on that.
Okay. I think we can try to do that starting next meeting. Okay. The second thing, second update is basically traffic is growing over the registry, and that's translated to more cost. Basically, if I check compared to December, what we see, we have an increase of 20% using the new registry, which is a good news. I want to say good news, but it's also some kind of news where basically we now need to decide that we want to basically shift the traffic to AWS. And this is the one thing we were talking about. I think AP opened an issue about that basically redirects all the non-Google traffic to S3. Yeah, I think we should try to do that in the incoming weeks. Because we are now close to the traffic generated by artifact.case.io. So I think I'm gonna work with Ben to see how we can basically implement that issue. Anyone has a question about billing before we move to the other subject? Okay, good. Jeffy, you have something in the AI review.
Yes, I do. So in the agenda, the plan is we go over billing and then we look at AI review. I think we can, aside from anything that's like pertinent or immediate, have that billing review kind of towards what Ben was saying. Let's just look at how many credits we have left and see if there is some sort of a trend between, if things are going down or up. I have more to talk on that in a minute. But when we go over the AI review, one thing I want to make sure of is we have identified not who is necessarily doing what specifically, but we have a lot of moving parts and not just AIs, but more initiatives that we need to kind of track better. A good example would be artifacts.k8s.io. In my head, Justin is kind of the initiative owner because he has done a lot of the initial work. He has started writing Porsche and whatnot, but we might be able to delegate a bunch of that work towards Kubernetes, but still have Justin be the initiative owner. Verbiage to me doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure that it's clear. Like we have a bunch of initiatives and then under the initiatives are the AIs that we're trying to delegate out. I bring this up because through various conversations, it seems like everyone has, ideas about what's going on. And I am all for ideas. And I think at this point, we're almost all on the same page. I just want to make sure that, okay, if, me being the human router trying to direct, folks like Kubernetes or II to initiatives, I want to make sure I know who I'm directing them to. And I want to make sure that the initiative owners are also aware that I am ready and willing to throw hands at keyboards and brains at, problems. That's really it for this part of it. And this kind of goes back to like the PM thing. Honestly, we talked about doing more like PM work, or at least me kind of taking it over late last week, I think, Arnaud. And I am willing to do that and kind of break things up and fill out that board more. But also I then immediately got onto a plane this week and, that isn't really conducive to work. So that'll be a next week Jiffy problem, I guess. That's all for this part. You pretty much laid out the initiatives. So thank you.
I think that's as one of the initiative, but I don't remember what you called me, but people. I think that's, I don't care about my title, and I think that sounds great, and I'm happy to work with Kubernetes on that. And I think having more clear, like what are we working on, and like what's the blocker at any point would be awesome for getting things done faster.
Fantastic.
And for us, it's also easier because then we have a dedicated person that we can talk to the specific issues. So it's not so much looking for the details for ourselves.
Yep. Ben, I see your hand.
Sort of a side thing, but you mentioned that like what we should or shouldn't get. I just want to clarify that we should still be looking at that data studio or looker report that we have, because we do want to note when there's trends in specific services moving, but I think we should also look at the just here's the money in the account, because that's a more definitive thing and something that we need to keep an eye on as well. But if we want to know like where is it going, the data studio report gives us a good idea of like, okay, we're seeing increased usage of artifact registry. That's expected because the registry is shifting over. But if we see costs go up suddenly on like 5K node scale testing is 100% more expensive this month, then like that, we need to flag that.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I want to see a little bit better is, I think the data studio report was good when we were first, starting out, but I really would like to see some sort of reporting that also shows like, again, AWS spend, so we can at least see where the needle is going, right? This is something that I'm looking to ask Hippie and II to work on a little bit more. So that would actually be another initiative under there, mainly because they're doing a bunch of the kind of accounting and administrivia work right now. And going from that to figuring out better reporting and kind of the FinOpsy type of work that we need is a pretty good transition, I think. And then Kubernetes can work on the prow work, artifacts.k8s.io work, etc.
Anyone has a question about what Jiffy say or suggests? Identify ownership for basically. So for people new in the call, basically we basically working on shift some of the workloads we have inside the community infrastructure and the Go infrastructure to basically to AWS. So the idea is to basically shift those workloads so we reduce the overall cost of the GCP infrastructure and the GCP budget. So I think last week we have some kind of prior meeting and we identified there are basically 4 workloads we need to migrate. So I put ownership on the docs for, when I say ownership, point of contact for each of the initiative we identify. Jiffy, is it okay for you?
Oh yeah. And okay, point of contact is probably the better phrase. It's just like they're the person that if there are questions, we should be asking them. They're the ones that are kind of driving it and had the initial idea. It's just, we need to share the load a bit more. So they're the ones, leading the charge on whatever that initiative is, and we direct questions towards them.
Okay, so I put the name of the people as point of contact for those, I would say, 4 workloads or 4 track of works. So if you have any technical question, reach out to those people in public, please. Okay, so I think we can go over the open discussion.
We also kind of did my thing, so
yeah,
we good.
For AWS, I think I would like to suggest a separate meeting for this, like trying to have one weekly something EU friendly for Kubernetes folks. So I might at some point set up a different meeting for AWS. So we can have a basically dedicated technical and some kind of bike sharing session about how we implement AWS. Do I have -1, +1 on this, on that suggestion? Okay, R +1 for Mario, +1 from Jeffrey. I will try to keep US people in mind about this.
I think generally,
Mm.
I think the weekly cadence is actually going to be better. One of the problems I think we initially have run into is this being bi-weekly. We can't necessarily hit the ground running without having out of band meetings. So as long as these are separate, but still just as open meetings, absolutely. And yes, time zones are hard. I would be perfectly fine biasing a little bit more towards the EU, just because this one is a little bit more US centric, and then the US folks, you know, we'll try and hit it as we can.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to set a meeting starting next week, a weekly meeting, almost dedicated to basically how we bootstrap AWS and how we can use it quickly. And I have some conversation about how we integrate Kubernetes in basically how we align work with Kubernetes about what we're doing. Okay.
Can we be sure and record those meetings as well?
Yeah, we will have recording for this.
Cool.
To answer the question is, should we use GitHub task tracking and planning tools? Absolutely. We do have a project board up. It's just kind of going back to what I said. It needs to be populated between travel and other stuff. The plan is for it to be updated next week. And that should have all of the initiatives that we've been talking about, and we can start tracking more granular AIs.
Yeah, we might have multiple boards depending on how we go fast.
Yep.
To be completely transparent, I think we need the board only for basically bootstrap AWS usage. The rest already have issue, umbrella issue, small task, and I think it's kind of straightforward to do those migration for some of them. So I think the main concern is basically how we, the CI stuff.
Yeah, I kind of have to disagree in just because of my position. That tracking board, we have a lot of eyes on this project now. That tracking board unfortunately isn't just for us and the folks doing the work. It's the place where we can point higher up folks to and say, this is where we're at and this is what we have identified left. So it is actually beneficial for us to take a little bit more time to keep that board up to date, even if it's going to be more than just, one thing. That's kind of why I am fine kind of taking on that burden, because it is going to be my problem. So.
Okay. Any question?
On the status for the AWS organization migration?
Can we go in order based on the meeting items? Because I see Jiffy again talking about priority list. Do we want to skip that, or Jiffy, do you want to say something?
No, it's more just recognizing that in this meeting, we came up with a priority list last week in a meeting with the SIG leads. And this is what we have decided is like our guiding light for at least the next 3 months if not more. So identify that, recognize like based on those priorities. Whoa, that's a lot to read. Based on those priorities, where do the initiatives lie? And then we can then kind of delegate tasks and see where we need to put people accordingly.
Can you put that priority list in the docs? I don't
got
have the link. I don't have the link of Teams, so could be useful for people in the call.
While I do that, I see Mario has his hand raised. Before you talk, Mario, I want to read quick what Jay said. Jay's concerned about the visibility into ongoing AWS costs. When he left November, in November, his understanding was the agreement. I mean, I'm assuming you typed this because you can't talk. You can interrupt me, but my understanding was the agreement with AWS was for ongoing credit support for K8s Infra on AWS, and that the credits would be used, and that we SIG K8s Infra could demonstrate that those credits were going to be consumed. So I'd hate to go too much longer without being able to show the consumption of those credits. That is, I got you. Yeah, I understand. Loud leaf blower.
I think, wait, Jeffrey, let's put that basically as an item we can discuss and finish what's remaining.
Yeah, I do have one thing I want to say. This goes back to we need better reporting, and that's something that we're gonna, throw Hippie and II at, because they're already doing account administrivia, so they can help build reports and focus more on the FinOps. Mario, you had your hand raised. Sorry, I tangented.
Yes, no worries. So for the priority list that was discussed, you can also read it up in the Slack channel where Dim started a thread where all of the action points are written into, and some proposals already came up regarding this action list. Just that we don't forget this.
That's basically what I'm saying. Like, if anyone can find the link of this conversation on Slack and put in the docs, that would be great, because
no worries, I
I
will do it.
Yeah, I can find it. So
I got you.
Okay, I think the next item, Mohammed, do you want to talk about this, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can talk about it. So one of the initiatives that I'm working on is freezing the old registry. The intent of that work is to signal to the community, hey, this registry, you shouldn't be using it anymore. Let's go and use this new one. We're very confident that it works. So that kept merged this evening. So yeah, as part of that kept, I need to send an email, drafted an email that says, hey, it's frozen. This is what it means for you for a contributor. This is what it means for you for an end user. The TLDR is that 1.27 won't be there anymore, or any of the patch releases after April. It should be fine. And
those dates again?
Yeah. Can you just go to the cap real quick, Arnaud?
Let me put the link first.
Okay.
You're cutting, by the way, Ahmed. So
sorry about that.
Conference Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I'm at Cognitive Security Con as well. So if you scroll all the way down, a little bit further. There we go. That's the timelines there. There's bullet points above litigation. Yeah. Bit up. Scroll up a little bit.
Oh wow.
The other way.
Oh, confused. Yeah.
All right, those are the timelines, right? 1st of April, it'll be frozen. So that's a date between the first RC and the last RC. So I'm going to use that time to make all the technical changes to the power jobs and all the tooling. But those are the last Kubernetes versions that we're expecting in the old registry.
So basically, I put the draft of that communication because I expect to send that by Tuesday next week. Not me, basically, Mohammed should be sent this by Tuesday next week. So what I'm asking to people in this call is basically do a review until Monday, February 6th, so we can shoot out this message Tuesday and spread the word about this. So that gave roughly 60 days for people to be aware about refreezing the old registry. So if you have any questions, please drop it in the issue and directly in the draft document.
With Naked, you can get comprehensive
Sounds good. Yeah, that's all really. Something we can look at in the future is maybe revisit a redirection conversation, because the registry will be functionally useless after 123 goes EOL, I believe.
Yeah, but the thing is, people still rely on the old registry for a while now. So we are not touching the registry. It's gonna live by itself until Google tell us GCI is gone and there's no traffic on that on the old endpoint. So the idea here is
fine by me.
Yeah.
I mean, we may have to consider measures at some point. Just, I mean, we only have so much funds, and we're already pretty over on that. But we're going to be supporting these versions for a while, anyhow. So I don't think that has to be decided today. And we're going to, regardless of whether or not we shut it down, we need to take a relatively aggressive posture to push people to migrate now, whether or not it's still possible to use.
Yeah, that's the idea from my perspective, right? So we'll freeze it in April. At some point in the future, we'll redirect it. At some point in the future, Google refuses to serve that domain. But
Yeah.
that's kind of like where I see it in like a year's time, for example.
Like, I couldn't tell you even if I wanted to what the plans are for like GCR's future, but I mean, in any case, at some point, the project will want to stop. It's usually just goes down paying to like host these things redundantly that no one's using, or that there's very limited usage on. When you can fetch it from the new location. Something else we should talk about at some point that we shouldn't go into here, but to put on people's radar to think about is we have just migrated all images forward forever. And we have things like the image promoter signing images where the scope of what we need to host only goes up. We probably should be considering at some point on the new registry not retaining content indefinitely. There are like test images that hopefully no one is using that are super old, that while it doesn't cost us a lot, we should probably be thinking about setting up a precedent to age out super old content.
Okay. I think this is going to be a very, very, very long-term conversation. So I don't think we're going to start discuss this now. Or
I'm not asking to solve that in this meeting, but I would like people to start thinking about it, because we have a really good opportunity in phasing people over to the new registry to reset expectations. So communicating at least the intentions sooner is good, whether or not we even get around to implementing it. So we don't need to solve this now, but I think people should start thinking about, like, what do you think would be reasonable there, and can we follow up on that and maybe say that, okay, besides phasing out the old registry, with the new registry, we carried forward many years of publishing images. Do we really need to be still hosting like Kubernetes 1.0 on the new one? Or someone's random image back when people were manual pushing, and there's like dirty tags and stuff. There's content that probably shouldn't exist anymore, and we don't have a policy. So it's less of a cost issue and more of a like, some of our infrastructure struggles a little bit with the ever expanding amount of content to process. And one answer is, well, we should just get rid of old content instead of trying to fix that. The image signing stuff and the image promoter has made it a little bit challenging for us to have all the artifact registry regions that we did for cost reasons. And part of it is because it's append only indefinitely.
Okay, I think the one thing, like, we should basically open some kind of issue to track this in the KK repo and have the right people to talk about this. Like, I'm thinking about people like SIG Arc, and yeah, specifically SIG Arc to discussing and SIG testing, like how we establish image retention.
Well, Ihor, to your point, if you were using Kubernetes 1.0 in production, like it never existed at this endpoint, it's pretty weird for us to support you migrating forward to registry.k8s.io to continue to use an extremely old release. And it puts a little bit of a strain on some of our infrastructure to process an ever expanding set of images.
Okay, let's have a async conversation about this on an issue. I think that's better if we basically track the conversation somewhere.
I'll go.
And we talk async. Yeah. Please do that on the KK repo so we have maximum input about this conversation. Okay. So I think the next item is Jay. Jay, can you speak yes or no?
Okay. If there's going to be a separate AWS meeting, I'm happy to discuss it.
Okay, I'm just gonna give the heads up here.
I need to help with the migration of the boards and accounts and all that stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna just give the heads up here. So to be transparent, for people maybe new and for the recording, in October there was an announcement about getting 3 million credits for the Kubernetes project. There's no expiration date on those credits, so we don't know. And we don't get the 3 months right away. We get $350 and $1,000 each month, or I think every 3 months. I think something like that. So
it's $250K each month, which amounts to a $3 million donation over the course of 12 months.
Okay, that's it.
But the one thing that I will also append to that is we have been pretty clearly told use them or lose them. So whatever we don't use this year, we should not expect the full grant back next year. So
okay, so that's the deal. So since we since we got the credits, sorry, I started to work on doing the infrastructure implementation. So basically set up an organization, set up basically the core services related to AWS. So right now we did migration of 3 accounts from the CNCF organization to the new Kubernetes organization. We did one yesterday with EP. Thank you for that, EP. I think Rian and EP is also working on moving the account we use for CI to basically the new organization. That's gonna happen. I think that's gonna happen in the next week or something like that. So in the meantime, I'm also working on set up the entire, basically the core function of the infrastructure. And based on that, I'm going to do delegation on people interested to work on that.
The AWS account migration should be done hopefully by the end of this week. I'm hitting some daily limit issues, but working diligently.
Okay, so I think that's the TLDR. Jay, is that okay for you?
Yeah, so, again, if there's anything me or anyone else can do, let me know.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I think the next meeting we can have a better conversation about this, trying to establish the strategy and what are the basically what are the next steps of the infrastructure.
The next steps, one of the things that we're looking for is to connect with our account manager from the CNCF to AWS for some stuff that we're having some issues on in migration. One of the issues we are having is that one of the steps is to get a phone call from Amazon. And at this point, either their systems are down or we're having some issues. And I was on a AWS support phone call this morning, and they may have a solution just to mark them all as ready to migrate, but we need our CNCF AWS account manager to approve that. And that might unblock us to continue forward. That's kind of an internal thing, but I think having visibility on it is also good.
Okay. Okay, so I don't think there's like too much to say about this. Any question about AWS, something like that? Okay, next item is Brian. Yeah, so you want clarification on a pull request.
Yeah, it's no longer seems to be like urgent anymore. There's not much motivation, and Jordan, who's looking at it, isn't sure why this is happening at all. Right there.
I think we can close it.
Yeah, it's fine with me as long as we get it out of my queue.
Yeah, close it if you want. Like, I don't really see. So basically, this is about updating all the basically endpoint for the test. So this is CI related.
Yes,
so I don't
to
really
reduce load on the.
Yeah, this is CI related, and 123 is going to be out of support soon.
There's probably at least some non-CI usage, but I don't expect it to be much. I think the main change that we made in the repo that will propagate to users is the kubectl and kubeatom changes.
Yeah. So this is, I mean, this is CI related. So the question is, do we want to merge that for 123 and have the test using the new registry in 123? Or do we?
Are we doing it for 124 and 125 and 126?
I was planning on doing them all if this went well, but it's lost all traction, so I'm not sure what to do.
Well, in my opinion, I mean, take this for what it is. I think we should do it for all of those versions. So if 123 is a pretty low, I don't know, low risk environment.
It's also mostly approved already. I think we just need to track down one more approver.
Right.
It's not approved. It's basically, it's not approved.
It's got a
bunch
of
sorry.
RDPMs on it.
It's only missing one owner's file. So I think at this point we actually should finish it and then clone it to the other, because the other branches are more important. But if we started with this one, then we should finish this PR and then copy to the other branches.
Because especially if we can get this in before like more 127 stuff happens, that's where a lot of traffic gets generated, at least CI wise. Probably worth.
No, 127 is already 127 is already changed. This is 123.
Okay, so we would have to backport it to 24, 25, 26, but 27 and onward is already updated.
Yeah. So I I think Brian, I'm not sure I'm the right person to answer to that. This is related to testing, and Ben is the right person. SIG testing is basically the right group to talk about this, because
I'm looking for an approver for the last part.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll follow up with Ben afterwards, or maybe even via the ticket. If you just put an update, I'll just take your advice on it, Ben.
Yeah, so sorry this fell through. There's just been a lot.
yeah, I think for me we should merge it and basically try to do that for the rest of the batch related support, official support. That's my take on this, but I can't make a call about this because it's.
Thanks,
I want
Arnold.
to say is yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is that was the last item. Do we have something else we want to talk about?
I'm feeling really good. I feel like things are moving. Justin is apparently a report wizard.
No, I've spent most of the time dealing with like nested SQL, but I think I found the problem. I didn't quite sneak it into the deadline, but it should be fixed in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
It's like one of those cooking shows where you have to cook against time. So you're coding against time here. By the end of the meeting, you show the results.
Okay, so I have a question for Justin, because I think we have like 9 minutes left. Like, artifact.case.io. We discussed about using proxy in front of a object storage service bucket and trying to basically do the retro. But I feel like we are in the rush because we might be over budget if we don't migrate this quickly. So I would like to basically put a CloudFront distribution in front of an S3 bucket and basically do domain delegation for artifact.case.io.
I mean, that's fine. I think the bottleneck is infra changes, right? So like,
Yeah.
I hope that we can work with Kubernetes to get those infra changes made quickly. Like CloudFront would still be an infra change, right? We're not blocked on the proxy service. We're blocked on like Terraform making everyone feel very unsafe. And like, it would be great if we had something that made people feel comfortable so that we could apply things quickly. But yeah, everything is, you know, sort of one step above script ops. So.
Okay, so we can forget the idea about using Porsche and basically move everything directly to AWS. I mean serving the binaries.
I think
I'd rather. Here you go.
Ben, wait a minute. Ben, wait a minute. So let's Justin finish.
Justin, then Ben. I'll be the moderator here.
Okay. I mean, we still have, so we have to get the artifacts onto S3 anyway, right? So there is a separate PR to do the promotion there. That's merged, and we're sort of doing better on the code front. We can get the artifacts onto S3 as well. There are infra changes needed to create those buckets, or a bucket even. So like, I feel like we're not blocked on code, we are blocked on infra changes. And when there will be infra changes for CloudFront, there will be infra changes for
S3.
for the redirector service, which is like the same redirector service we're using on images. I would like to use I'd like to like continue with the code. If we want to, if for some reason we think we can set up a CloudFront distribution manually or something, which is not what we've done in the past, then we could just do that, and I'm fine with that. But yeah, like right now, as far as I can see, the bottleneck is the time to apply Terraform changes, basically.
Okay, so Jiffy.
Ben had it next.
Yeah. So
oh no, let me talk before Ben. I think the one thing is like,
No, that's not how moderated discussion works, buddy.
Yeah, I know, but we have 5 minutes left, so at some point we need to basically move forward and trying to have async conversation if we want. Like, can we make that as the first point next week? Like moving artifacts. Okay.
So
sorry, I mean, do we have to wait until then? But, sorry, go on, Ben. Sorry.
that's all I'm trying to say is that because the only thing we were blocked on is the infra. I think we should actually bias towards just manual. We don't even need to check all this into Git, or we don't need to do the most complicated form. We also don't need to say that we can't do portion in the future, but we have a big chunk of spend that we can take off GCP and put on Amazon, solve two problems. We need to get AWS spend going, and we need to cut GCP spend. And just whoever it is that has access to do this, we should do the most expedient thing. This is the lowest hanging fruit we have to move spend. And if we're blocked on needing access to Terraform or whatever, we should just do it. Like if you have to click buttons. We can always come back later and Terraform it and add Porsche and whatever, but like the minimum viable thing here it shouldn't wait for the next meeting either. It should really be as soon as we can get someone on it. So whoever has access to that, please consider like doing that now.
Pointing out Thawkins P-1, reduce GCP spend. And then P0 from DIMS, increase Amazon spend. This is probably the shortest path to get that and move that needle, correct? I see nods.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing we're trying to do here. Justin, you had your hand raised.
So I feel like we have, as this group, we have tried to like move away from manual things because they've bitten us in the past. What I propose, therefore, is why don't I apply the Terraform? It's one step above manual. Like if someone's gonna apply it manually, it might as well be me, and I might as well use the Terraform, and like we at least have some hope of getting onto like a maintainable path.
Oh, okay. So to answer, okay, so your question implied two things. The first things, there's no code to declare a CloudFront distribution, so you need to write that first.
Why don't I just apply the Terraform that we have?
Yeah, it's not gonna basically match what you have. Basically, what you have now basically only create a bucket, but you need to also declare a CloudFront distribution. So you
what I'm
have
saying
to
is
write.
why don't I stand up staging tonight? We can look at it and we can move prod tomorrow, right? We'll do it with Terraform, and we're done.
Oh,
yay!
Exactly.
Oh,
and it will be Terraform. So we'll have the PRs and they'll be tested because they'll be tested live, which is not how we normally do things, but at least it'll be like
how we try not to do things.
Yeah, it's one DNS entry and an HTTP host, so I don't think we should stress too much over it. Whatever, like if Justin is prepared to do that, that sounds great. Let's do it.
Why don't I just do the actual thing, right? Like why do I have to do the halfway thing? Why don't we just do the thing?
Or no, I'm saying that sounds great. Okay. My point is we need to stop debating how we do it and just do one of them. So if you have access to do that, great.
I'll find somewhere I've access.
My point is just whatever we're doing, we really don't need to be worried about. The only thing long term here is that when we don't move, we keep burning through those credits. It is not going to be a long term tech debt if someone disagrees with the approach you want to take now, because it's going to be super easy to iterate on like one project's binary hosting on one DNS entry on one CRUD HTTP download host. That's not going to be something that bites us in the future. So no one should be blocking on approach. We just need someone with access to iterate.
The thing.
Yeah, we need to iterate.
Sorry, just to be clear, Justin, you have admin access to an AWS account, so you can basically do that. I give you access to an AWS account. You have completely.
Okay, I don't have access to the GCP account. So if we do want to set up the redirector, so we are.
Oh no, the idea is to basically we drop the redirector. We're basically not doing that anymore. We basically focus on exposing the S3 bucket through a CloudFront distribution and basically move the domain. So there's no need of GCP. Basically the entire GCP. Right? Well,
like we can't use Fastly, we can't use anything. Like I'm saying, why don't I just set up the redirector and we'll continue with the plan. We don't need to panic and like drop our plans and adopt some.
Is there a
service.
reason we can't grant Justin access to a GCP project today?
Oh, well, we can grant access to it. I mean, my idea was basically not use GCP and literally basically do everything on AWS. That was the idea.
I think
That
the good
was my
argument for
proposal.
that is just whatever's faster, but it sounds like it may be faster to just make sure Justin has access to spin up the GCP piece.
Okay. After the meeting, I'm going to grant you access to a project.
Sounds
so
great. And I will do things with Terraform because that's what I'm really worried about, that whenever we do things manually, it's like, oh, what did we do? So
okay. Okay. We are at time. So any last things?
I just
Back
want to add
Slack.
one more thing,
Oh,
right?
sorry, go ahead.
The CloudFront stuff is actually dead easy. I already demoed of what that looks like. I linked the issue there. So I recommend that you just pop into an AWS account, create a bucket, copy the files over, create the CloudFront distribution, and then fix the DNS. That should be like a 1 hour thing.
Your GitHub handle was upodroid, right? I see a bunch.
Yeah, that's me.
Got it. Cool.
I think let's go with what Justin is want to do, and we can see what's happening.
Yeah, that's fine by me as well. So you probably want to reuse the one of the Google Cloud projects, spin up Cloud one on there.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool, and thank you.
And then we can park it in the right account later on. We can move the right Google Cloud project there.
Cool.
Okay. I think we're good. Thank you everyone for coming, and see you in the next meeting.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.